Boy, would my 1-year-old daughter love you. It's quite an entrance, a lot of fun. This is my very first interview. I'm glad it could be with you, usually hiding behind the camera. The first few questions I have were given to me by Bunta editors directly, and they were sent here. And then I have a few questions of my own. Okay. Bhagwan, since when have you been aware of the dangers of AIDS?
It was going to happen someday. It is something to do with how life functions. Life functions through polarities. The opposite poles create the tension for life. Life is a tension, death is a relaxation. It is just like the positive electricity and negative electricity. If both are not together, there will not be any electricity. So in existence, opposites are really not opposites, but complementaries. The same is the case with bioenergy. Man and woman are positive and negative poles. Their meeting is the meeting of positive and negative energy. It is creative of life. So even before AIDS became known, I was aware that homosexuality is spreading fastly. Sooner or later, something very dangerous is going to happen. Because homosexuality means there is no tension. Man and man are the same poles. They can only create death, not life. I have always been telling people to move to their natural, biological sex relationships, man to woman. But about AIDS, I became aware just last year that it has come, of which I was always afraid. It was bound to come sooner or later. It is a byproduct of homosexuality. And homosexuality is a religious disease. Anybody responsible for it are the founders of all the religions. they have committed this crime perhaps unknowingly. Because first they asked people that celibacy is something spiritual, which is sheer nonsense. Celibacy is impossible. Nobody has ever been a celibate unless he was impotent. But the most wondering thing is that the impotent people have not contributed anything to human progress, evolution. They have never been creative. They are just hollow. They have no potency to create. The religious people were teaching a forced impotency, which is against biology. And whatever your ideology may be, there is no way to convey the ideology to your physiology, biology, your chemistry. There is no way. Once you have eaten the food, you cannot tell your stomach what to do with it. And it is good that it is beyond your control. Once you have swallowed it, it is beyond your control. Your body knows perfectly well what to do with it. You may take the vow of celibacy, but your biology is not even aware that you are a Christian monk, or a Hindu monk, or a Buddhist monk. Your biology goes on functioning the same way as before. It goes on creating male sperms in you in millions. Because nature depends on your being not a celibate. It is good that Buddha's father was not celibate. It is good that Muhammad's father was not celibate. If these people had been celibate, the world would have missed two very colorful people. Nature wants you to be alive. Hence, the basic elements in your life, for example, breathing, nature has kept in its own control. It is not on you to breathe or not to breathe. Otherwise, sometimes you may forget. In sleep, you are bound to forget. And then in the morning, there will be nobody to breathe. So, breathing, no one can say, I am doing it. It is existence that breathes in and out, and you are not in control of it. Because breathing is so essential for your life, it cannot be left in your unconscious hands. What is breathing to a single individual is reproduction to the race. Individuals come and go. But humanity has to continue. Life has to continue. It cannot depend on individuals' decision, because they are only temporary. They will be here for a time being. Their decisions cannot be of any value. So celibacy, sexual energy, the power to reproduce has been kept in the hands of life itself. You cannot do anything about it.
You said before that this was something that had to happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
In a question I have later on here, I ask, why now? Why not in the 50s? Why not in the 60s or 70s? Why right now?
There are reasons. First, everything has to reach to a particular climax. You don't ask why the water evaporates at 100 centigrade degrees. Why not at 98? And why not at 90? And why not at 101? It is simply something that is not in our hands. Everything happens at a certain point, at a certain climax, and there is no reason why, because there is nobody to answer it. No scientist can answer it why water evaporates at 100 degrees. There is no reason. It could have been 99. And there is nobody to ask about. We have to accept it as a fundamental law of existence. About homosexuality, why it did not happen in 60s, 50s, is pointless. Because if it had happened in 60s, you would have asked the same question then too. Why it did not happen in 40s? It is irrelevant. Whenever it has happened, that means now it has touched the evaporating point.
And do you feel that homosexuals were the first to suffer because their unnatural way would leave them most susceptible? Is that something that might naturally or logically follow?
It will logically follow. Because what they are doing is absolutely perverted.
Sorry, absolutely.
Perverted. And the consequence is going to be something, not a disease, because I don't call AIDS a disease. It is just a slow death. A disease is curable. Death is the only phenomenon which is incurable. And now the scientists all over the world have accepted the fact that there is no cure for AIDS. So AIDS is no more a disease, it is death, just a slow death.
Let me ask a question that I have regarding that. That's a statement you made the other day in discourse. I think it would be fitting if I were to ask that. Okay. You said in discourse a few days ago that AIDS is not a disease, it is death. That scientists say there will never be a cure. don't you feel this is quite a negative statement or assessment? Just as I'm sure 100 years ago people said that man would never fly, let alone set foot on the moon.
No, it is not so. That was simply ignorance. And the people who said it simply said it because it has not happened before.
But couldn't you say the same thing about a cure for AIDS?
No. Because if you understand the situation of AIDS, the situation is that it is not any disease that needs any medicine, any operation. It is really the death of will to live. Deep down, the person has lost his will to live, and there is no medicine which can create will to live.
I had heard that you had said this mostly as it pertained to homosexuals, that there was a loss of polarity in their lives. But how about those who are unwittingly infected from homosexuals, normal heterosexual people?
Mm-hmm.
I certainly would have the will to survive. I would hate to be infected from some kind of contact from a homosexual. But I would have that will to survive. Could I overcome that if there was even some sort of medicine that might help or prolong or who knows what, whether it was interferon or who knows what, that they've had some success with? Would my will to want to survive help me?
I don't think. Because the will to death is far more powerful than the will to survive. Ordinarily, just the opposite is the case. Your will to death remains dormant, and your will to survive and live remains active. If you become infected from somebody whose will to live has died, and will to die has become the dominant factor, he will provoke your will to die, which is very powerful because it has been dormant and never active. Your will to live is exhausted, tired. You may like to live, but you have been using that will, that energy, that power. You have never used your will to die. That has remained there dormant underneath. In fact, Sigmund Freud was the first man to discover that man has a wish for death. Before him, it was not even a known fact that there is something like will to die. You can become infected only because your will to die is so powerfully there, ready to explode. Just a small infection is needed to make it creative, and it will spread fast, and your will to life is exhausted, tired, old, spent. It is almost hoping against hope that there will be some way to survive once you are positively an AIDS patient. What actually it does when the will to live disappears, you become vulnerable to every kind of disease. Ordinarily, whenever a disease attacks you, your body, your will to live, creates antibodies to fight with it. But when the will to live is almost dead, or dying, or is fighting for its own survival, and instead of will to live, on the throne is will to die, then any infection is welcome. No antibodies will be created in you. This is the problem, that your body is no more fighting against any infection.
So then this community, it seems, is the only one in the world that's going out of its way to
Certainly, it is only the
So does the world want to die? Is that what you're saying?
unique community. And we are trying the same methods around the world in our other communes. And anybody who really wants to save himself, our communities will be the shelters.
So you are suggesting that the will of the world is in a sense looking to die.
The whole world, in fact, is not only through AIDS. That is only one side of the story. The other side is that the world itself is preparing for a global death. So the attack is double. From the individual, every individual is preparing for death, and the nations and the countries and the politicians, they are preparing for nuclear weapons. So we are in a very unique times, pressed from every side for self-destruction. Unless something helps people to rejoice in life, to dance and sing and love, which religions have crippled. That's why I said they are the criminals. They have been all against life in some way or other, more or less. They want to renounce this life in favor of a future life after death. They don't want you to enjoy, they don't want you to laugh, they don't want you to dance, they don't want you to eat tastefully, they don't want you to drink, they don't want you to do anything that gives you joy. They want you to do things which are boring, utterly futile, stupid yoga exercises in which you are just torturing your body unnecessarily. There is no need. Nothing is going to be gained by it. Fasting is religious. Feasting is not. And if you can fast long, you become a great saint. And all that you have done is repressed your natural hunger. Everything that makes life worth living has been condemned. Poverty has been praised. Comfort has been condemned. For thousands of years, these people have been preparing you against life. My effort in the communes is to revive your will to live and to rejoice in it without any guilt. In Indian religions, there are 5 basic principles. The first is aswad. It means tastelessness. You should eat, but you should not enjoy the taste. If you enjoy the taste, you are committing a sin. Now, this type of teaching is going to destroy people in both ways. If they enjoy the taste, they feel guilty, and that becomes a wound. If they don't enjoy the taste of food, much joy of their life is lost. The second is celibacy, because food and sex are very deeply connected. Food keeps you alive and sex keeps the race alive. So the second is sex. Remain celibate. Now, a person who cannot remain celibate, and nobody can, is bound to become frustrated, perverted, guilty, feeling himself a sinner. Life becomes a sin. Christians say you are born in sin. You need not do anything. You are already born in sin because Adam and Eve committed the original sin, and you are their generations, and you are still carrying the same sin. Very strange. We don't know when Adam and Eve were there, whether they were there ever or not, whether it is just a myth or a reality. And in fact, what they committed, I cannot see there was any sin in it. To try to know, to become wise is a sin. Then what is virtue? Those poor fellows just ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge. That is a sin. And they were going to eat the fruit of eternal life, but prevented and thrown out of heaven. What is sin in being eternally alive? The biblical story is significant. Religions don't want people to be wise, they don't want people to live. There is somewhere deep down a support for your will for death from God Himself, from the biblical story. If life is sin, and it has been told continuously for thousands of years, slowly, slowly, it has penetrated your unconscious. One thing. Second thing, all the religions have forced people, if you cannot be a celibate, then get married. And monogamy has been the rule. Now, it is something unnatural. One gets fed up of everything. If every day you have to eat the same food, every day, 3 times the same food, how long you can remain unbored? Soon you will be bored. With the woman you are tied. You cannot say it, you are bored, but in every action, in every word, in every reaction, it will be there. And so is the case with the woman. She is bored with you, but she is dependent, financially dependent. She had been prevented from education. She has children to look after. So you are tied. Naturally, this is not. Marriage is not a natural institution. It is a forced institution. Men would love to change women, women would love to change men. And then they will be more rejoicing, more loving, and more wanting to live as long as possible. Marriage has killed their sexual joy. Celibacy has made them perverted homosexuals. Marriage also has played some part in making people homosexuals, because their women will not tolerate them even to look at another woman. But as far as boys are concerned, they can go together, there is no problem. The woman is not aware that they will be doing the same nasty thing. Religion created marriage, religion created celibacy, and both created perverted sexuality. In my commune, marriage is just a legal game. Because idiots are holding the power, so okay, just play according to their rules. But remember that it is unnatural.
I was under the impression that you're encouraging marriage amongst people.
No.
Especially in light of the problem with AIDS and so forth, that people become closer and with one person.
I don't encourage marriage, because marriage means boredom.
So it's a legal game.
So just legally they can be married, but spiritually they should be free. And they should be moving And the basic religious teachings should be drop jealousy and allow freedom to anybody you love. It is your duty to make him happy and joyous. If he is becoming bored, it is good for both of you to be free. Remain legally married, no harm. If fools are making rules and they are in power, nothing can be done about it. But we can find out a way. Any intelligent person is able to find out a way. In my commune, marriage is just a game. Otherwise, whosoever wants whomsoever, they are free. And no prevention. That's why they are so joyous, because they are not bored. Every day, a new dish.
A new
dish. Italian, Chinese, Japanese.
Okay.
Every day, a new restaurant. And in fact, it is human. If the husband is happy, if the wife is happy, perhaps once in a week they can be again in a deep love without being bored. It is better to have one time, once a week, authentic love than to have 7 days just boredom and no love at all. And the person who is keeping you bored, you are bound to hate. And you are bound to hate yourself also, that you are such a coward that you cannot get out of this imprisonment. So marriage has helped homosexuality because the women won't suspect it. Celibacy has created homosexuality in the monasteries, in Buddhists, in Christians, in Jainas, in Hindus, everywhere. And all this has come to a point because anything that is unnatural can never give you contentment. That can be taken as a fundamental law. Anything unnatural cannot give you contentment. It will only give you frustration. So man moved into homosexuality. Naturally, women followed because they are now for equality into lesbianism. Both are frustrated. But women are less frustrated for the simple reason because this freedom of lesbianism is a very new thing. Only very few women in the past has been lesbians, only nuns. But now it is widespread. Every intelligent woman once in a while tries it. And I don't think that there is any harm once in a while to try something new. It simply shows you are an intelligent being. Only retarded people can remain contented with the same thing their whole life. The more intelligent you are, the more freedom you need. Otherwise, you will become frustrated. But anything that is unnatural is going to create frustration also. Natural courses have been condemned and poisoned by religions. Unnatural perversions lead nowhere. You lose the desire to live. That's the reason why in Europe a school of philosophy, existentialism, arose. Existentialism is a philosophical analysis of this whole human situation, that there is no meaning in life, that there is only anxiety, boredom, anguish, despair, and suicide is the only way out. According to existentialism, suicide becomes the only way out of this nightmare that you call life. That was a philosophical expression. AIDS is a biological expression of the same thing. In my commune, I am trying in every possible way to introduce my people again to the natural flow of life with no condemnation, no idea of sin, no punishment in hell, no reward in heaven, no God in existence. And they have to decide their life. There are no ultimate laws about marriage or about anything. They are all just convenient ways. If you find it convenient, good. If you don't find it convenient, don't stay a single moment in the bondage. And we are teaching them something which the whole humanity needs: meditation. Meditation leads you to your innermost core of life. You are alive. You may have lost even the will to live, but still you are alive. And there is a small flame of life still in you. If you can reach to that small flame, it can flare up again. If you can become consciously aware of that flame, things can change, totally change.
Let me ask you this question. My feeling is that sannyasis don't fear death. So why fear AIDS? And are you not... Why fear AIDS? If
we are not fearing AIDS.
Okay,
there is no question of any fear. When you are going on the way and you find a rock and you bypass it, does it mean you fear the rock? You have to stumble on it to prove that you don't fear? We are not fearing AIDS, just we see it on the way and people are stumbling on it, and we are making our people not to stumble. There is nothing to be afraid of it. There is no reason for my people to be afraid of it.
But how has it affected the quality of life here? How has it affected the quality of life here? This avoidance to keep from stumbling on the rock.
Nothing
Because you say AIDS is death. I suppose you don't want to stumble on death if you don't have to. If that's what you're saying.
But
I have a feeling the quality of life is not quite the same now that there is this avoidance of death.
No, the quality is better. It is not the same, that's true. The quality is better because people are more responsible. And people are not only responsible towards their own life, they are also responsible not to affect anybody's life. Their life quality is enhanced. And when the whole world will be in the ditch of death, and they will be still dancing and laughing, and they will see that if they had not been able to take all those precautions, this laughter would not have been possible. You cannot find people anywhere who are more joyous and more laughing and dancing and happy and more hard working at the same time. Even God got tired by the 6th day. My people work 7 days.
I thought God didn't exist.
He does not exist. But as far as the story goes, he got tired.
All right.
So whenever I want to make a joke of him, I accept the stories. I don't accept the God.
I had a question from somebody else about God, and I put it aside because I was under the impression that you don't acknowledge the existence of God. But as far as the story goes, it's...
As far as the story goes, I can make use of any story without any difficulty.
Okay. You've also said in discourse that no children have been born here in 4 years, and that the world is now not a good place to bring a child into. Isn't the child an opportunity to re-educate, renew, and replace the old ways? Or, to use your own words, why wait to heal old broken bones? Replace them. It seems to me that in a commune such as this, where you are going to great lengths to filter out the sick through awareness, the greatest opportunity exists to bring in new generations of physically healthy and spiritually pure individuals.
We will do that, but the time is not ripe yet. I have to prepare my people. Once my people are ready, they have all the comforts, they have all the educational systems, they have everything that the children will need, because in my commune, the children will be of the commune. There is no family fixation. Father and mother can be loving to their child, but the child will be part of the commune, not a separate family from others. So all male will be his uncles and all females will be his aunts, and he will be welcome in every place and every home, and wherever he wants he can move, wherever he wants to live he can live, with whomsoever he wants to live he can live. I have to prepare my people first, and once my people are ready, You are right. I am not going to repair rotten bones. I will create my own people. And I am heading towards that. But my ways of creating the people are going to be different. They are not going to be the old way. The old way has failed. It was accidental. My people are going to be more scientific about it.
Can you give me some idea?
For example, no couple is free to bring an accidental child into the commune. He has to get the permission of the medical board, and if the medical board suggests that their child will not be something unique, will be just ordinary, mediocre, mortal, the whole world is full of, then the best way will be that the woman gets artificial insemination. So he can find the best male sperm in the commune and introduce. And in fact, it is easier. The natural way is really a strange way. I have been a competitor only in one race, and that was when I met my mother's egg.
Your mother's?
When I met my mother's egg.
Okay.
That was the only race in which I was a participant. But the race was tremendous. 1 million participants. And if you compare with my size, the small passage that they had to move was 2 miles. They are so small, male sperms. And 1 million male sperms rushing towards the female egg. And I am a lazy person. I decided once for all that put your whole energy and reach the egg somehow, because then your whole life you can rest and relax. So I have done every competition, every race. Even before my birth, I was finished with competition and race. Out of 1 million sperms, who is going to be who is very difficult. But now methods are possible which can decide. In these 1 million people, there may be few Albert Einsteins, few Rabindranath Tagores, few Mozarts, few Hegels, Kants. 1 million is a big quantity.
What about the possibility of using your sperm?
I will not allow it. For the simple reason, because even if you become enlightened, your sperms don't become enlightened. And I am not going to give birth to an unenlightened child.
Well, would there be the possibility of a higher likelihood that you're also...
No. The biology remains completely unaffected by your enlightenment.
Well, what about then just your intelligence? I mean, you have an intelligence level that I'm sure most people would agree is quite high.
No.
It's another thing to be an enlightened master, but you spoke before of having a new generation here, that you're planning for that. You speak of other great men.
I'm
then
planning
again, why not
for that, and I have intelligence enough to find more intelligent people than me. But I am an ordinary man with no special talent. If we need a physicist, then Albert Einstein will be better, or Sakharov will be better. If we need a painter, then Picasso will be better, or Van Gogh will be better. So, include me out.
You think people will be disappointed?
No. They will not be disappointed. They will be disappointed if I give birth to a child and he proves an idiot.